Hey, what's up, guys? We're back, and it's for UFC Sweden, Gustafsson versus Anthony Smith. And first of all, I just want to say on Memorial Day, thank you for all the veterans, everyone that's died at war, and given, everyone in the United States, me included, the ability to do everything that we do. So I want to give a shout out to them, and just, to make sure to comment, like, subscribe on the video. But we're going to jump right into it with the first fight of the night with Danilo Bilardo against Joe Alvarez. And Joe Alvarez had one fight in the UFC. He had that 10-fight win streak snapped in his debut. He had a hard fight in his debut. He fought Damir Ismagulov, who's a very good fighter, but he didn't really show anything. He stood really tall. He didn't throw much volume, but he does have good hand speed, and he closes the distance with jabs, straight punches pretty well. And very nice short right hook. I've seen him drop opponents with that. He likes to throw a jab, straight right hand to a body kick combination. He does a good job of checking leg kicks, returning with right hooks. Decent leg kicks of his own as well. And he will throw a lot of front round kicks to the body. He has good jump knees, step in knees to the body. And his stance, it makes it easy for fighters to close the distance on him because he's flat-footed. He has kind of that traditional Muay Thai stance, but he has no problem brawling, sitting down on his strikes in the pocket. He has quick hands. He can land, counters in close range. And in his one loss, besides the decision loss against Ismagulov, he lost via spinning heel kick knockout. So he has been knocked out one time. But fighters seem to really want to try to get him down to the ground in most fights. And he only has one career TKO. And he's not a good wrestler, but it almost seems as if he wants to get put on his back. And, that's where he goes for all his guillotines, his front chokes, his triangles. He will, defend body locks a bit. He'll land knees, but overall his takedown defense is not good. But he's dangerous off his back with chokes, man. Very good guillotines, triangles, good leg locks. He'll use those to sweep to top position. Very good arm bars, and good rear naked chokes as well. He has 14 submissions, and he's finished all 15 of his wins. So he's definitely a finisher. I do feel if an opponent can pass his guard and they're a dominant ground fighter, they could potentially, be able to exploit his ground game a little bit. But overall, I do think that he is pretty high level on the mat. And on the feet, it's kind of a crapshoot in my opinion. I really have no idea who will be the better striker. Bilardo is going to most likely be the better wrestler. And I see Alvarez trying to counter with front knees to the body and the head. And it's most likely going to come down to, if Alvarez can get a submission off his back, jump on a guillotine. And Bilardo is going to have to defend some submissions, and we'll see if he gets tapped out or not. But, Bilardo, he's riding a 6-fight win streak. This is his debut. He hasn't beaten very high-level competition, and whenever he's taken that step up, he's been finished in fights. And he looks to be a wrestler, but his stand-up is a little clunky. He stands very tall. His chin stays high in the air. He does have solid kicks. He'll throw front kicks, round kicks to the body, front leg side kicks. He will throw round and front kicks to the head as well. And he likes to throw the jab out there, but he leaves his chin in the air when he throws the jab. It's very easy to counter. He likes to leap into overhand rights, and his striking game is basically all to set up takedowns. If he isn't trying to, he definitely isn't going to try to outstrike you for 3 rounds. In this fight, it's going to be interesting what he wants to do because obviously Joel Alvarez is a submission specialist so far over his career. But I just don't think he can fight any other way. I don't think he has the striking to keep it on the feet for 3 rounds. He has 6 TKOs. Those are mostly due to ground and pound. And he has questionable defense on the feet, questionable chin as well. He's been knocked out 3 times. And Bilardo, he's a decent wrestler. He's very aggressive. He looks for the takedown right away. And he's had fights where he gets takedowns, submits opponents in less than a minute. So he definitely is a fast starter. Good double leg. He will get into a body lock trip, dump opponents. He will get in on the body lock, push opponents against the cage, lean on him, grind on him from there. Try to get that tight waist, take the back from standing. He has heavy knees to the legs, to the body, and he's just good at hanging on opponents, landing short shots as opponents try to stand up against the cage, just working them, staying connected. In his last match, his opponent was able to jump on a couple tight guillotines and use the choke to, take mount as well, but he couldn't do much with that position, and eventually Danilo was able to stand back up. But, he did almost give up those guillotines there. And he stands tall. He can be taken down and controlled against the cage himself. He has a good get-up game, and he usually scrambles into takedown attempts of his own. I don't think his grappling is necessarily super high level or dangerous, but he's relentless, he's tenacious. He isn't a big submission threat. He definitely prefers to control position, wear his opponent out with ground and pound. He has 3 submissions. He's never been submitted. He definitely has great cardio. He pushes a pace, and I see him wanting to get Alvarez on the cage, grind on him. I think he's going to try to land clinch takedowns where he isn't landing Alvarez's guard, like a clinch takedown directly into half guard, directly into side control. I also see him trying to get Moses takedowns against the cage, trying to make it harder for, Joe to throw up submissions off of his back when he pushes his head against the cage. If he could stay out of submissions, win the wrestling, that's how he's going to grind out a victory. I find it unlikely that he's going to finish Joe Alvarez, but I'm going to pick Joe Alvarez even though I'm not extremely confident. I feel both of these fighters are pretty low level. I don't think they're UFC caliber, but I think Alvarez is maybe the little better athlete. He has the faster hands, and I also think his guillotines, his triangles are dangerous, and he could possibly get a submission as well. So I'm going to say Alvarez via second or third round guillotine, but don't recommend playing that fight on either side. And up next, we kind of have an interesting fight here with Devin Clark taking on Darko Stosic, who's a bit of a prospect here. Both guys, I guess you could say, are prospects, but Darko Stosic, he's, I would say one of the bigger prospects at 205. He didn't disappoint in his UFC debut. He got a first-round finish, dusted Jeremy Kimball. And injury, delayed his return, and he's finally coming back after 11 months. But Stosic, he's fairly athletic. He has okay movement. He likes to circle, pull opponents into his power. Heavy leg kicks. I think that'll be, useful in this fight. He throws them early and often. He has a nice 1-2. He has a decent overhand right. But he doesn't throw first very much. Really likes to counter. He does have some powerful counters. Looping hook and uppercut combinations, nice powerful left hook. He has a pretty fluid body and head kicks. He isn't very high output, but when he does throw, he seems fast and powerful. And in his last match, he was coming forward, putting pressure on Kimball, but didn't really let go. He was purely countering. He does have 8 KO TKOs, and in the one match, he actually fought a notable name, though he was TKO'd himself by Jerry Proshka, and he doesn't really have, very high-level wins, or he hasn't faced very high-level competition. I mean, if you go look at his last 3 fights that he's had, those guys, even including Jeremy Kimball, they just kind of quit. One guy took like a leg kick, waved off the fight. Another guy, literally, Tomas Szerzynski or something like that, he took a hit to the head and just dropped down, like took a dive almost, it looked like. But, he definitely has power. He's definitely a good fighter, but he isn't super active grappler. He does mix it up with double legs at times, and he seems explosive. He drives through on his takedowns fairly easily, but he isn't very good on top. He doesn't have good top control, and I don't see him being able to hold Devin Clark down, even if he does take him down. He was swept by Dion Starling. He was mounted by Dion Starling, and I think that's why he doesn't really like to go for takedowns much, just because I think he knows he doesn't have the greatest top control. But his takedown defense to me is a bit questionable. He definitely allows fighters to get in on his legs. He does have heavy hips. He'll counter takedown attempts with Kimuras. He's very physically strong. In his last match, not much happened. And then Kimball shot a bad takedown. He was able to counter it, get on top, landed some big ground and pound, and it was over. But it kind of seemed like Kimball kind of quit as well. But when he does get taken down, he looks kind of lost off his back. He allows fighters to move to dominant positions, and he kind of just waits for the perfect time to try to explode back to his feet. He's also been fighting a lot in the ring, not in the cage. It's easier to defend takedowns with the ropes. He tends to get tired as well when he's forced to grapple or put on his back. And like I said, he's fought questionable competition. Clark is definitely going to be the best guy he's ever fought. I just don't see Clark quitting like those other opponents have. He's going to have to put him out, which he could definitely do. Clark, obviously, everyone knows, has a questionable chin. But Stosic is going to want to pressure Clark, feint, try to draw out punches, counter, or, counter off the bad takedown attempts of Devin Clark, and or just even a good takedown attempt if he can find a way to counter it. But Clark has a questionable chin, and if he can land a big counter, it could be enough to put him down. I'm not sure Stosic will use kicks much in this fight, because he's going to have a fear of being taken down. But if he could stuff a few shots, he could get Clark to be desperate. Then Clark could potentially make a mistake, and he could make him pay for it. I think if he can counter the takedown attempts and get on top as well, and Clark is a bit tired, he could show some nice ground and pound. But I'm still not convinced that he can hold Devin Clark down. Devin Clark definitely needs to bounce back from that first round knockout loss. Tough task though. He's facing Alexander Rakic, who's a great prospect. And he actually dropped him early on, and then the tides shifted pretty quickly after that. He was knocked down with the spinning back fist, then finished. And he was scheduled to fight 2 different opponents in Russia, but they both pulled out due to injury. Or I think one guy maybe pulled out due to USADA, but he once again got rebooked pretty soon after, but he's going to have to travel overseas to Sweden, facing Darko Stosic, another European prospect over there. And Clark is fairly athletic as well. He's a powerful fighter, light on his feet, he's explosive, solid inside-outside leg kicks. He has good 1-2s, nice straight and overhand right. He'll close the distance with hook and straight punch combinations, and he actually closes the distance really well with his leaping left hook. He was able to drop Rakic with it in his last match. He'll throw front and, round kicks to the body, hook kicks to the body and the head as well. And he will throw a lot of Superman punches. He likes to throw back fists into combinations, close the distance. I feel like at times he does feel a little uncomfortable at range. He holds his hands low, and sometimes he can close the distance hands down with his chin in the air. His striking, he uses a lot to create entries for takedown attempts. And when he's forced to strike for long periods of time, that's when he tends to make mistakes, and he gives away fights. We've seen that with his performances, against like Alex Nicholson, Jan Blachowicz. But he does have big power. He's explosive. 3 KO TKOs, but he has been finished twice by strikes. He is a JUCO national champion wrestler, and I've seen him, I see him trying to get this fight to the mat for sure. He does a good job feinting his way inside. He's a strong double leg. And when he gets his hands connected, he takes his opponents down easily. He could take them for a ride. He has strong body locks, good head positioning, solid control in the clinch. And he doesn't use a lot of offense from there. He will throw some occasional elbows over the top, but he's always just looking to duck under, get a double leg, get a trip takedown. His top control isn't elite, but it's not bad. And once he gets a couple takedowns, that's when he can start to cement position a lot better. He will trap a wrist from the guard. He uses it to turk the legs, move directly into mount, or take the back. He also does a good job getting to the wrestling ride position, landing big shots from there. And he has the cardio to wrestle for 3 rounds. He'll reshoot, redump opponents continuously. We saw that when he had a lot of takedowns against Mike Rodriguez, 8 takedowns against Jake Collier. Clark needs to back up Stosic. He has to keep the volume high, force him to work. Darko, to me, has a questionable gas tank. And I feel as long as Clark can safely get inside and grind on Stosic, take him down even once early, he most likely can have a chance to win the fight. I think he'll be able to wear Stosic out, take away a lot of power if he can do that. Start to grind on him against the cage, just get some takedowns. And I'm going to pick Devin Clark here. I think Clark's movement is going to give Stosic some issues, his in and out movement in terms of letting Stosic's punches go. And I think eventually Clark's going to be able to close the distance, get his back towards the cage or get a takedown. And I think he's going to have a cardio advantage. And I'm going to say he wins a decision in a similar performance that he had against a guy like Mike Rodriguez. And so I'm going with Devin Clark in this matchup. And up next we have what I think is going to be I don't want to be disrespectful, but a pretty low level fight here with Duda Santana against Bea Malecki. And Duda Santana is actually the sister of Alex Cowboy. So Alex Cowboy has gotten himself in some trouble lately. I don't know if that's going to affect her, but that's a good gene pool to be a part of for sure. If you look at that picture right there on Tapology, I mean, she looks exactly like Alex Cowboy. But these are featherweights, so the UFC is finally bringing in some women's featherweights. And Duda Santana, she's 3-0. She's fighting out of Brazil. She trains at Tata Fight Team, obviously the same fight team as Cowboy. Her nickname is Cowboyzinha, so that kind of lets you know her fighting style. I'm not sure why she's being brought into the UFC now. She hasn't fought in over a year and a half, and obviously only has 3 fights. But she's an aggressive, wild striker. she's lighter on her feet. She's more in and out than Bea. She has a good jab, nice 1-2. She will throw a 1-2 to a front knee to the body or to the head. She likes to attack the body with the 1-2, and she will throw 1-2s. When she throws 1-2, she doesn't really have fast hand speed. She leaves her head, right on center line. She can be tagged with counter hooks and overhands. I saw her get rocked by an overhand against a fighter who was 1-4. So that's not a good look there. She has good forward pressure. She keeps the volume high, but she doesn't throw much in terms of variety. Really, it's just the 1-2. She'll occasionally mix in a right hook or an uppercut. She'll also throw rare leg, body, and head kicks. Obviously she hasn't fought in a year and a half, so we don't know what type of improvement she's made. She is decent at blocking and returning in close range. She definitely cares more about answering in offense than defense, though. She gets hit and just tries to return. She doesn't seem to have huge power either. She only has one career TKO. But I didn't see much at all from her in terms of grappling. I did see her defend a takedown, take top position. She was able to land some nice hammer fists from side control. She passed the guard. She didn't seem to want to stay on the mat, and even though she was landing big shots, she just led her opponent back to her feet. It didn't seem like she wanted much to do with the ground, but I can't tell whether, she's good or bad with her takedown defense or submission defense. I highly doubt we'll see her try to get the fight to the ground herself, unless she panic wrestles after she's rocked or something. But Santana needs to back Bea up, throw in combination. Maleki is flat-footed. She's there to be hit. If Santana can land combos, get out before Maleki counters, that's what she could do that all night. If she's actually capable of it. She has to be the fighter going forward. If she's forced to fight backwards, I see her being finished. She does seem tough. She's ready to go to war. And for Bea Maleki, she's obviously not very tenured either. She's only 2-0. She lost on tough in an exhibition bout against Leah Letson. She hasn't fought since then either. So she's going to be out almost a year before this fight. She is Swedish. She's also trained at the All-Stars Training Center. So she's going to be at home for this fight. And, she's actually been training at Fortis MMA for this camp, though. So that is a great camp. It seems like she's been training there for the whole entire time that she's had this fight, or she hasn't been fighting. So that's good to see. Maybe she is going to come in here showing a lot of improvements. She is 5'11". She's going to be the much longer fighter in this matchup. And she's a Muay Thai world champion, but I don't know. I don't know if I really believe that. I don't know. It's hard to... She doesn't seem like a Muay Thai world champion to me. She's very green as an MMA fighter. She has a flat-footed Muay Thai stance, and it isn't really the best style for MMA, if you ask me. She stands tall, and her chin is there in the air. She will throw a jab, good 1-2s, nice right hook. She has nice standing elbows. She can cut opponents open with those. Good front kicks to the body. She'll go to the head with the front kick. Pretty solid round kicks to the body and the head. And she's good at, blocking and returning kicks of her own. So she'll block a leg kick, return with a body kick, return with the right hook. And she's very good at, if she can block the shot, she'll return right away. She doesn't throw many leg kicks. And in her last match, though she was going forward more, she was pushing her opponent back, working behind her reach better. And, if she could start to do that, she does seem like she hits hard. And she could get a lot better very quickly. But she still doesn't move her head. She stands very tall. And fighters are able to tag her with almost everything they throw, along with getting on her legs pretty easily. She does have a good chin, though. She has no problem absorbing shots or turning. She only has 4 MMA fights combined, pro and amateur. She's definitely still learning. But with a bit of fine-tuning, I think she could be much better. I think she has more upside than Duda Santana. She has 4 finishes in her 4 MMA wins. And just suffered her first loss via 2-round decision to Leah Letson in her last fight. She does have 1 pro KO TKO, 2 in the amateurs. And she's never been finished in MMA. Maleki's actually not a bad grappler. She's competed in BJJ competitions. She's worked to improve that aspect of her game. She's good in the clinch. She has good trip takedowns. She'll throw decent elbows, nice knees to the body. She definitely should be more active with strikes in the clinch because I feel with her size, she could be dangerous there. She really likes to try to jump on the back, get rear naked chokes, her one pro win, she choked her opponent unconscious very quickly with the rear naked choke, and it seemed like her squeeze was pretty legit. She was also able to get a pretty tight rear naked choke on Letson. She had the arm under the neck, but she couldn't control the body, so she didn't get it. She can be pushed against the cage herself. She was taken down by Letson, controlled on her back for portions of the time. She was taken down by a single leg. And in the third round, when she was taken down, she didn't try to stand up at all. She was just lying flat on her back. She seemed like she was a little tired. But Maleki needs to find her range with her front kicks or straight punches, be the one going forward. And she should be able to get the timing of Santana pretty quickly, in my opinion. I feel like Santana is very predictable in her striking patterns. And I expect her to attack with a lot of right elbows, hooks to counter the 1-2 of Santana. And if she can get top position, she may have an advantage there as well. And I'm actually going to pick Bea Malecki by KO TKO, but I'm not confident. I think Bea has more experience striking. She's going to be able to kind of read the striking of Santana and counter. I don't think Santana is advanced yet to be able to change her game plan in mid-fight. And I don't think she's going to change much the way she fights. I see Bea landing her right elbows, her right hook, and hurting and finishing Santana at some point in the fight. Santana very well could just win this fight with pressure, with volume. But I think Malecki will get her timing, eventually fire back, get it done. So I'm going to say Malecki via second round TKO. But I would stay away from this fight as well. And up next here we have a really interesting fight in my opinion with Nick Hein taking on Frank Camacho. And Frank Camacho is just dropping down 155 pounds again after that brutal loss against Jeff Neal. And Camacho's 0-3 at the UFC at welterweight. He was 1-0 in his one fight at lightweight. And his punches definitely seem to take a big effect on Damian Brown. So if he can make this weight correctly, I definitely think this is the weight class for him. And I was listening to one of his interviews with James Lynch. Shout out to James Lynch. Cool of him getting that job for the Score. But, I was listening to the interview, and he was saying that he, after the fight with Jeff Neal, he had a lot of introspection because he realized that, if he was doing the same thing over and over again, training over there in his home country, maybe that wouldn't be enough. So he came over to Timo Yama for this camp. Apparently they've been training even before this fight was booked, just fine-tuning things, helping his game out. He left his family for a while now for this training camp. And, apparently he's trying to switch everything up. He says that he's going to be able to make weight easily this time. He obviously missed weight by 5 pounds when he fought Damian Brown. And we're going to see. We're going to see if Frank Camacho comes in here rejuvenated. I definitely feel like at 30 years of age, he has the ability to have more of a resurgence than Nick Hein. So he definitely maybe, has more to fight for here. But, I really like that if he can down the weight cut, I think he'll be good in this division. He's a blood and guts fighter. He loves to go to war, and he usually starts very strong. He won the first round versus Li Jingliang, Andrew Dober. Then he dropped the decisions, but he has good forward pressure. No problem in the pocket, exchanging shots. He always keeps his opponent on the back foot. He has a good jab, good 1-2. He likes to pull counter off his 1-2. He tends to leave his lean back with his chin high, though. He can get clipped when he's trying to pull counter, but he's good at just eating the shot and returning with the zone. He comes back with hooks, uppercut combinations, heavy overhand right. He likes to throw the overhand right, left hook combination, mixes hooks into the body. He'll throw a left hook to the body to a straight right hand. And, when he backs opponents up against the cage, that's when he plants his feet. He'll let go with long combinations, body, head, really put a lot of power in his shots. He doesn't throw a lot of kicks, but he does have some decent front and round kicks to the body. He will throw the front kick followed directly by the 1-2. He likes to throw in step-in knees to the body. He tends to kind of try to pour it on in round 3 regardless if he's tired or not. He'll start to walk his opponents down, pump himself up by screaming, just start absorbing shots to give his own. And I feel he actually beat Drew Dober by digging deep in that 3rd round, even though they gave the decision to Dober. Camacho tends to get very tired, though, in segments of the fight. He's good at getting the second wind, but for periods of time, it looks very bad in terms of the judges when he's exhausted. And he relies heavily on his chin. It's going to be interesting to see, if he comes back the same after that beating at the hands of Jeff Neal. I mean, that head kick was nasty. And he really struggled with the movement of Neal. He barely landed any punches. And he was saying, though, as well that, the camp of Jeff Neal beat him almost as much as Jeff. Like, he said that they were screaming out everything he was going to do. He's too predictable. And, maybe here at Team Oyama, he's going to come in here with some new tools. He has 16 knockouts, big power, but he's still in search of his first one in the UFC. And he's been finished 4 times by KO TKO. He is also a brown belt champion in jiu-jitsu. He's a solid wrestler, very good in the clinch. He can dig underhooks, land trip takedowns. He likes to get to side control. He has a good guard passing, When he gets to side control, he likes to get the crucifix. He'll attack the body with knees. And fighters have been able to scramble from bottom on him, and I don't think he has the greatest top control, but he has strong takedown defense. He was able to reverse multiple takedown attempts against Drew Dober, take top position. He has a good single leg takedown as well. And when he was taken down by Damian Brown, Brown quickly took his back, almost choked him out. So he does tend to give his back when he stands up. So it's going to be interesting to see who's the better wrestler in this fight. I don't think Camacho will be able to control Hein on top if he gets takedowns, though. And he needs to avoid being put on his back, keep the fight standing. Camacho only has 3 submissions. He isn't really a submission threat. And he has been submitted only 1 time. For Camacho, I don't know. I don't envision him doing a ton different. I see him being able to want to try to walk down Nick Hein, win the battle of attrition. And he's going to get in Hein's face from the opening bell, throw heat, try to work behind his jab, his 1-2, back Hein up, go to the body, go to the head. And when he connects clean, he hits hard. He can put opponents out. And for Nick Hein, he's lost back-to-back fights. He's 35 years old, so he definitely needs a win here. I imagine the loser of this match will most likely be cut. This fight was supposed to be Hein versus Luigi Vendramani, but Camacho is stepping in on short notice. Hein was 4-1 in the UFC, and in 2016. But since then, he's taken nearly 2 years off with injuries, and he hasn't came back the same. He hasn't won a fight since September 2016, and he's short, he's compact, he's a well-rounded fighter. He's fairly technical. He's a black belt in judo as well. And he's a southpaw, so he's a bit, tricky with that. And he actually came out right-handed in his last fight, so he switched stances. And he's a counterpuncher. He likes to stay light on his feet, feint, pull counter. He's good at pull countering with the 1-2 with his left hook. He definitely has power in that left hand. He dropped James Vick with it multiple times. He dropped Davi Ramos with the left hand. He will step into a pretty nasty right hook, and his counter overhand left is very accurate. He throws it often. He has a solid left hook right uppercut combo. He'll throw a double jab left hook. He'll also throw a body jab to a straight left hand. He will switch stances into a lead left hook, and he can leap into shots at times. Because of his short reach, he could struggle to get inside, and he can kind of do a little bit of reaching. He can get clipped with shots when he comes up short. Along with if you time his entry, you can clip him as well. But he's still fairly explosive. He has that power. And I kind of think he's fading a little bit, though. In his last match, he took a lot of damage. He showed toughness. He showed the ability to stay composed. And he is a veteran. He has a great chin. He was dropped in his last match. He was able to recover, survive. And he tends to do just enough to win fights. He doesn't really go for the kill much. He only has 1 TKO. And he's only been finished once by TKO, so he has a great chin. But he's a solid grappler. He isn't a super active grappler, but he has good entries on his singles and doubles. He'll shoot in on a double, transition to a tight waist, suplex opponents. He'll push opponents to the cage, work for singles and doubles from there. And I feel against the cage, his takedown attempts are not very hard to defend. He doesn't have the greatest top control either. Fighters are able to stand up when he takes him down. And I kind of feel like that's why he doesn't wrestle very often. Hein does have good takedown defense, but he was submitted by Davi Ramos after getting double-legged. He has 1 career submission, and he has 1 career submission loss. He's lost via submission 4 times. And he hasn't had a submission since 2010, though. But Hein has good cardio. He's very experienced. I see Hein coming in here using lateral movement, trying to walk his opponent into his jabs, his leg kicks, his left hooks. He can't allow Camacho to back him against the cage. And he has to be hitting and moving in this fight. I'm actually going to pick... Man, this is a tough fight for me to pick. I'm going to pick Nick Hein. I think that Hein's going to be able to possibly drop Camacho with this left hook, just be able to evade the shots with his movement, land more of his own, and take a decision. but this is a very close fight, and I could see the pressure and the power punching if Camacho comes in great shape, getting to Nick Hein and breaking him. But I'm going to go with Nick Hein via decision for now. And up next here we have the return of Leonardo Santos. He's taking on Stevie Ray, and he's returning after almost 3 years off. He's undefeated in the UFC, 5-0-1, but this layoff obviously really stunted his progression. He's 39 years old, so he needs to string some wins together now if he wants a chance to compete with, the top 5s, top 10s of the world. He had to recover from some injuries, but Santos, he said the UFC put him on the shelf. He stated, he's waiting 1.5 years for a fight, and he was finally booked in June 2018, but had to pull out again due to a hand injury. And, this is going to be his first fight in 32 months, so it's been a long time. He's going to want to pick up where he left off, though. He's riding a 3-fight win streak. He's fought pretty high-level fighters, Adriano Martins, Kevin Lee, Tony Rocco Martin. And he's a world champion jiu-jitsu fighter. He has improving skills, a long reach. He has good distance striking, very nice low leg kicks, inside, outside, very nice jab, good 1-2. He'll throw a very good left hook, and he has a good left hook straight right hand combination, nice left uppercut. He'll throw a left uppercut right hook. His lateral movement is good. He keeps fighters at the end of his counters with his jab, with his straight and overhand right. And he's good at using his left hook to angle back to the center of the cage. He's very nice. He has very nice round front kicks to the body. He'll throw nice counter knees to the body. He has heavy head kicks. His defense does leave a lot to be desired. He doesn't move his head. Opponents seem to be able to tag him with straight punches. He tends to throw, one at a time instead of combinations. So opponents who throw more than one can land counter combinations on him. And he's also heavy on his lead leg. He can get chewed up with leg kicks. When he starts to get hit, I feel like he gets a bit gun shy. He'll shoot some bad takedown attempts. And he can't allow opponents to walk him down because, he's solely looking to counter with one-shot attacks usually. Going backwards for the majority of the fight can gas Santos out, and he seems to have poor third rounds. He doesn't seem to have big pop in his punches. Fighters can eat him. He definitely has more pop in his kicks. He was able to catch Kevin Lee and drop him with punches, but don't think that's a very likely outcome. Santos is a hard fighter to look good against. Even on the feet, he's good. He's long enough to land counters. He's a very good blast double. And fighters don't commit because of the fear of being taken down. Can make for low-volume fights, such as the last one with Adriano Martins. Santos only has 2 career knockouts. He has been knocked out once early in his career. And he's a multi-time jiu-jitsu world champion. He's been a black belt for over 20 years. And he's a good wrestler for a jiu-jitsu fighter. He doesn't have elite takedowns, but he has those nice jiu-jitsu takedowns, good trip takedowns in the clinch, good body locks, decent single legs as well. He'll use the single to drive punch to the cage. And he has a very nice blast double. When Santos takes top position, though, he's a menace, man. His guard passing, second to none. He likes to take him out. He'll bow to you for mount until you give your back. He has an excellent rear naked choke. He gets the body lock. He just has tremendous control from there. He'll jump on the back from standing. Very good at jumping over the guard directly into side control. And he's very good at scrambling, capitalizing on mistakes. And his control, ground and poundage is very good. He's been able to control bouter fighters much bigger than him, such as Thiago Santos. And he has very good takedown defense. He isn't one of these jiu-jitsu fighters who'll just flop to his back. Against Norman Park, he was able to defend takedowns, but he was held against the cage for long periods of time. I kind of expect Stevie Ray to use a similar game plan. Santos has to be ready to keep his back off the cage. We haven't seen Santos off his back in the UFC, but in BJJ competition, he's always known for having a very good rubber guard. He's active on his back. I don't think Ray's going to, try to take him down. But, Santos has 9 submissions. He's extremely dangerous on the mat. And, he does tend to get tired in round 3. And due to him being 39, also taking 3 years off, that could be a big factor here if he slows down earlier than expected. But I think Santos is going to have a game plan to strike in this fight. See him using lateral movement, working behind the jab, the 1-2, the front kicks, the head kicks. And I think he's going to try to time takedowns if Ray gets too aggressive. If he can hit a trip or a blast double, he's going to have a good chance at a submission. And I think he's levels above Ray on the mat. Santos has to be careful not to just circle and be low volume all fight. If Ray is to win, I see him kind of just outworking Leonardo. But Stevie Ray he bounced back from 2 consecutive losses with a controversial decision win against Yesin Ayari. I actually thought Ayari won the fight. But Ray's going to be looking to build off that momentum, and 3 of his last 4 decisions have been split decisions. So he tends to fight close, and he definitely is going to want to, have a more dominant win here. And, he started the UFC 5-1, but the shine is kind of gone now. He's a southpaw. He has solid power in his shots. He's well-rounded. He's pretty low output, though, as a striker. He doesn't use a lot of movement. He does have some lateral movement. He does a good job cutting fighters off, keeping them near against the cage, and use a 1-2. But he doesn't tend to throw many jabs. He throws a lot of straight left leads. He closes distance with hard left and right overhands, and he really will swing for the fences. But he's a bit slow. He does have nice low leg kicks. He doesn't throw it as often as I like to see, but he'll throw an inside leg kick to a straight left hand. He'll throw spinning kicks to the head and the body. And he will get in, full sideways karate stance at times, throw lead leg hook kicks to the head, to the body, throw oblique kicks to the legs. He has a decent left leg round kick to the head. And he can't get caught standing in front of opponents. He doesn't do much at times. Fighters have found a lot of success closing distance with blitz attacks to the head, then immediately ducking under for takedowns. He also doesn't throw in combination, and it's a lot of one-shot and dones. He's low output, and due to that, he has a lot of very close fights. But he does have pop on his punches. He has 6 knockouts. He has a good chin over his career. He's only been finished once. He did get knocked out badly by Paul Felder. Then he got rocked by Cajun Johnson. So his chin, is getting a little more questionable now. But he's strong for the division. He's a decent wrestler. He has good body lock takedowns, good double legs. And he's strong in the clinch, but that's where Paul Felder caught him with a big elbow. Obviously, in this fight, I don't see him wanting to try to grapple at all. See him really just trying to defend the takedowns and really maybe just try to hold Leonardo Santos against the cage for periods of time, but don't try to really do much with the position. Stay safe. And, because against Alan Patrick, he was taking down 3 consecutive rounds. He had his back taken. He was dominated by Joe Lozon in the first round. And, he has a decent butterfly guard. He'll look to off-balance opponents, go for leg locks. But if he gets taken down in this fight, I think that Santos is going to be able to take his back at the finish. Stevie Ray is going to have to go forward, get inside. He needs to try to walk Santos down with heavy low kicks, straight left hands. And if you can get Santos near the cage, you should close the distance. Land some short knees to the legs to the body, some elbows, and just wear on Santos. I do feel if this fight gets to round 3, he's going to be the fresher guy. And, I also feel Ray should try to start fast because Santos obviously is coming off that big layoff. But I think Leo Santos should get it done here. I expect him, to be the cleaner striker. And I think as long as he comes in, the same as he was before, if not better, he's going to win, in his fights, he uses a lot of movement and the ability to counter-strike. So if his legs aren't as fast as they used to be, he could be in trouble. But both fighters are low volume. Santos is bigger. He could safely counter. And I think he's going to eventually find a takedown with a blast double or a trip takedown and get a rear naked choke in the first or the second round. So I'm going with Leonardo Santos in this fight via submission. And up next, we have a fight that I don't really get why. I feel like these girls should be fighting up-and-comers, but it's Tanya Evinger against Lena Landsberg. And, Tanya Evinger is a 2-1 favorite here. She's entering into Lena Landsberg's hometown, though. She is the long-reigning Invicta Bantamweight champion. She's obviously very tough. And, she's a pretty snappy jab. She'll throw some leg kicks. She has kind of a good shovel hook overhand right that she hurts opponents with. And she has a good right hand, left hook, straight right hand, left hook combination. She throws a lot of looping left hooks and overhands. And she has a very funky style. She has her hands down. She rolls with punches. She eats shots and comes forward. She will throw occasional body kicks. She has relentless forward pressure. And she has 8 knockouts. She has been TKO'd in back-to-back fights, but I still think she's very hard to finish. And she's a fantastic wrestler. She's big. She's physical. And she has a good low single leg. She catches kicks. She'll take you down that way. When she gets it on a single leg, she'll use it to get the tight waist, take the back standing. She has very good trip takedowns, good leg reaps, good hip tosses as well. And she'll drop down for doubles against the cage, uses her single legs in the center of the cage, her body locks, her doubles against the cage usually. And on top, she's very effective, high output. She's good at getting cross body, landing shots from there. Good mount. She'll rain down big shots from mount. And she's just very aggressive. She'll always look for submissions, rear naked chokes, arm triangles, arm bars. And she'll attack with leg locks. She's always looking for the submission, which puts her in danger of losing the position, getting submitted herself. But fighters tend to wilt under the pressure of Evinger if she can get a takedown. And she has been submitted, like I said, she puts herself in danger. So she has been submitted a few times, and she has 7 submissions herself. She has great cardio. She's been submitted 5 times. But, she's finished 23 of her 26 fights. And, there's not a lot of mystery to Tonya Evinger's game plan. It's going to be come forward behind the jab or looping shots, get the fight to the mat, get top position, aggressive with her ground and pound, and go for submission. So I think Evinger's a very proud woman. She's 0-2. Her back's against the line here, or against the wall here. And, she's going to be very motivated to win. I expect her to come out in shape, give it her all. And if she can get the fight to the ground consistently, she's most likely going to win the fight. Lena Landsberg, she's coming off a fight with Yana Kunitskaya where she lost pretty decisively. She's never lost 2 in a row, and she's going to look to continue that trend here in her home country. But she's taken a lot of punishment in recent fights. And if I had to say one fighter's closer to the door, it would be Lena Landsberg. But Lena Lands isn't a great striker at range, She's clunky. She does have a decent jab and straight right hand. She uses the overhand right to close the distance. She'll get in the clinch. She'll throw occasional body shots with their body kick. She'll throw 1-2s to the body. She will go up top with a head kick, but she doesn't look like she has that dangerous of a head kick. She has a good chin. She takes a lot of damage, but she has a lot of scar tissue. She's been opened up a lot in her recent fights. She's been finished 3 times by KO TKO. And she does most of her damage in a clinch. She has good control. She's been able to win a lot of her UFC fights by just controlling her opponents against the cage, landing elbows, landing knees. She does do a good job of getting the underhook, using head positioning. And, I don't think she does a ton of damage in that position, but she does just enough to, keep the position, win the fight. And her takedown defense is questionable. She backs herself up to the cage when opponents pressure. And when she's on her back, she doesn't have much of anything. She allows opponents to easily advance dominant positions, land big ground and pound, and she isn't good at controlling posture, getting back up. She was finished with ground and pound versus, both Chris Cyborg and Aspen Ladd. I feel if Evinger takes her down, she could be finished. She slows down as the fight goes on, and in the 3rd round, she tends to really slow down a lot. I think Landsberg needs to try to use her lateral movement, her jabs, her straight punches, her kicks. She could try to clinch at the end of rounds to seal it, but I feel she should try to avoid grappling. She can make Evinger pay for takedown attempts, win the striking. That's her path to victory, but I think Evinger is going to win here. She's just a better wrestler. I feel even striking-wise, she's going to have the edge. I don't see Landsberg having the power to stop Evinger from getting inside. I also see Evinger landing or looping lefts or straight rights. I think she's going to be more physical. And I think if she takes her down, she's going to keep her down and dominate. And I think she can finish her with ground and pound or sub. She needs to make it dominant if it goes to decision because this fight is in Sweden. But I'm going to say she wins via late 2nd round TKO in this fight. And up next, we have 2 newcomers here with Sergey Khandozhko against Rastim Akman. And Sergey Khandozhko, he's paid his dues. He's making his UFC debut after fighting over 30 times professionally. He's coming off a spinning back kick knockout, and he's a pretty dynamic striker. He's an explosive athlete. He's good in and out. He has great distance control. He's very fast. He has good movement. He likes to work behind the jab. Nice 1-2, a nasty left hook to the head and the body. He'll throw a jab, left hook to the body combination. He likes to walk punch into his jabs, his left hooks, his straight right hands. Really pulls people into his power very well. Very nice front and round kicks to the body. He'll throw nice switch kicks to the body. He will throw, spinning back kicks to the body and the head that can close the show as well. And, he tends to sometimes he can back up with his chin in the air. And he doesn't seem like he deals with pressure the best. But, his in and out movement and just his ability to move to me is very impressive. He's very dynamic. And he has a very good record. He has a lot of finishes as well via KO TKO. He definitely has a lot of power. He has 12 knockouts, and he's only been knocked out one time. And he's also a solid grappler. He's good in the clinch. He has a good judo throw, nice, body lock takedowns. He's able to move from side control to mount from ease when he gets the judo throw, and he has good ground and pound. He doesn't have the best top control. Opponents, are able to explode back to their feet, but he does hit hard when he has top position, and he's hard to get inside on. Usually will get taken down through opponents catching his kicks or timing shots off them. He doesn't really give opponents good chances to shoot takedowns, and he's hard to hold down. He'll quickly explode back to his feet, and he's actually able to work in his guard as well. He has good triangles, good guillotines, and he's pretty good. I think that he's actually a decent fighter, to be honest with you, and he needs to use his footwork to walk Lockman into his jab, his left hook. If he can keep the fight standing, I see him having an advantage, and he has to be ready to deny the takedown attempts, reverse the takedown attempts, and stay off his back or get top position. But Rostem Akman, he's making his UFC debut on very short notice, replacing Bartosz Fabinski, and he fights out of Stockholm, so he's going to be fighting in his hometown here. He's 6-0 with 6 finishes. He's just been a professional for over 2 years, but he has a very extensive amateur career. He was 13-2. I wasn't able to find any fights of Rostem as a pro, though, so it's hard to gauge exactly where he's at. In the fights I did see, they had shin guards on. They were doing 3-minute rounds. But he looked to be a fluid striker. He has nice leg kicks, a good jab, nice 1-2, good left hook, right hand combination. He'll close the distance with straight punch combinations. He also has a nice overhand right uppercut. He'll go to the body, head, and he rips the body very well. He has a nice head kick. He has decent footwork, solid head movement, but he holds his hands low. And in the pocket, he doesn't move his head. He's there to be hit. He doesn't seem to like forward pressure very much. He doesn't fight as well off his back foot. In the fights I saw, it didn't seem like his punches had a ton of power. But he's came into his pro career. He's finished 5 fights by KO TKO. As an amateur, he only had 2 KO TKOs in 15 fights. He has not fought very high-level competition as a pro, and his last opponent, who was 18-10, was his toughest fight. And Rostem doesn't seem like the greatest wrestler. He'll look for takedowns to seal rounds. And, he has decent double legs, but it looks slow. I don't know if he can get that against higher level competition. He is good at jabbing his way into body locks, and his body locks are definitely his best takedowns. He'll work with big knees in the clinch, and then he'll eventually get that body lock, get a leg reap takedown. And he actually comes over the top pretty well with big hooks. He'll attack the body with hooks. He looks very strong in the clinch, and when he gets top position, he has good guard passes, very good top game. He likes to move to mount. He has great control in the mount. He'll posture up, do damage. Very aggressive. He'll immediate look to go for Kimuras, jump on guillotines. He has this heel hook submission. And I do think Rostem could be a prospect. In the highlights I've seen him his recent fights, his striking looks better. But I think Sergey should get it done here. He has a longer camp, and he was already getting ready for a grappling heavy fighter. I think his distance control on the feet is going to be too much, and I see him finishing Akman by KO TKO. It's going to come down to if he can deny the first takedown attempt, in my opinion. I think if he's the better grappler, it's going to be a long night for Akman, and I see Sergey finishing him with a big left hook or a head kick or body kick. And Sergey, I'll say, gets the finish in round 1 or round 2. And up next here we have Sungbin Joe. He's going to be making his UFC debut, and it's in enemy territory, taking on Daniel Teymur in Sweden. And Daniel Teymur is desperate for a win as well, so this is going to be a tough fight for Joe. Joe is undefeated at 9-0. He has multiple regional scene championships. He's finished all 9 of his wins, and this is going to be his first fight out of Asia and in the UFC, so we have to see how he handles this new environment. This is also his first fight in a year and a half, so I'm not sure why he's had such a long layoff. But Joe looks like a good athlete. He looks like a fairly technical striker. He has a good jab, good left hook. He'll throw a jab, left hook to the body as well. And he has a decent 1-2. He'll throw an overhand right lead. He looks long. He tries to fight long, but he's flat-footed. He stands right in front of opponents, and he isn't super active. He stands very heavy on his lead leg. His chin is in the air. I feel opponents, who are higher caliber, are definitely going to be able to exploit his stand-up. He's fast. He's athletic. He relies heavily on that. And he's a finisher. When he has someone hurt, he'll go for the kill. He has good cardio to pour it on. He definitely is big for the division. He hits hard. And he's going to have a big size advantage in this match. He has 5 KO TKOs. I haven't seen him badly hurt by a punch, but his leg was hurt in his last match. And it was a good back and forth fight against a guy that has a similar build to Teymur, but I don't think he's nearly the striker. Joe looks to actually be a pretty solid grappler. He has heavy hips. He's able to turn takedowns around and take top position. He isn't offensive with his wrestling, but he's good at denying takedowns, getting on top. He'll catch kicks and go for takedowns. And he likes to get the single collar clinch, throw uppercuts. He has nice knees in the clinch to the body and the head, heavy elbows. And when he gets top position, he takes a lot of opponents out. A majority of his wins I've seen are via ground and pound KO. He also likes to take the back. He has 2 career rear naked chokes. He has 3 submissions, but he's not fought very high-level competition. I'm a little iffy on his skill level. He needs to use more movement, not be so flat-footed. He needs to be in and out, use his jab, use his kicks, keep Teymur at the end of his strikes, and he can't sit in front of Teymur heavy on his lead leg. I do think he has better cardio. He hits hard. He needs to try to back Teymur against the cage, close the distance with big knees to the body, to the head. If he can land a clean shot or take the fight to deep waters, he could get a KO TKO. I also think if Teymur shoots an ill-advised takedown, he could finish him that way. Daniel Teymur right now, he's more famous for being David Teymur's little brother than he is for fighting. And he's 0-3 since joining the UFC. And he's only getting this opportunity because they're fighting in Sweden most likely. But he's desperate for a win. He has to save his job here. And he probably is going to come in here in shape. He's going to come in here ready to go. And he's very explosive. He usually has strong starts. He closes distance quickly with hard leg kicks, big overhands. He has a nice left hook, overhand right combination. His overhand right's accurate and powerful. He has a good left hook lead. And he will attack with a nasty uppercut. He'll throw uppercut, left hook combination. He'll throw a lot of elbows in close range. And when he gets inside, his opponent's hurt. He will get wild. He'll throw a lot of looping shots. Kind of lacks a little bit of composure. And fighters able to counter and hurt him as well. He will throw hard body kicks, head kicks. He'll also throw a lot of spinning back fists, spinning back elbows. And he tends to throw a lot of combinations. He'll fall in love with the same combination, kind of like in Muay Thai where they'll throw multiple leg kicks. He kind of still is learning the game a little bit. But, if you could survive the first round against Teymur so far in his career, you're going to win the fight. He slows down quickly, doesn't handle getting pressured well after that. And when he gets tired, his hands go low. He still doesn't really know how to recover and pace himself. He'll just attempt the same explosive techniques he used in round 1, but they're much more slow and labored. And opponents are able to evade, counter. He almost becomes like a punching bag. All of his wins have happened in round 1. He does have power. He has 3 KO TKOs. And he's never been finished with strikes. He has, so he definitely has a decent chin, but I have seen him hurt with strikes multiple times. He isn't a bad grappler, especially early. He has nice knees, elbows in the clinch, good clinch takedowns. He'll get in the guard, land big elbows, good takedown defense, and when he does get taken down, he'll explode back up to his feet early. I do feel, though, those looping shots make it easy for opponents to get inside on him, create grappling situations. In his last match in the first round, he was able to, reverse Chris Fishgold a few times, shuck him off his back, and he landed some nice ground and pound from side control. He is aggressive when he takes top position and will do damage. As he tires, though, he can be taken out with double legs, gets a cage. He doesn't have much off his back. He got mounted by Danny Henry, beat up for a huge portion of the round. And he also got submitted by rear naked choke by Arce and Fishgold. He gives his back when he stands up, and it gets him in trouble when his movements, become slower. And Teymur has 3 submissions, but he's been submitted twice in the UFC. And he knows he needs a win here. He's in his home country. Hopefully he comes in here in great form. And he needs to be in and out, throw leg kicks. He needs to pressure forward, close the distance with hooks, with overhands. I feel Joe holds his hands low, and especially in round 1, Teymur has the chance to catch him. He needs to work on composure, and when he gets tired, relax, move, wait for that second win. In this fight, I feel he has a chance to get a first shot knockout. And if he chops down the leg of Joe, he could slow him down over 3 rounds if it gets there. And I'm actually going to go with little Teymur via first round knockout. I think he's just the better guy. I think Joe hasn't fought high-level opponents. I think his defense is lacking on the feet. And standing in front of a powerful, explosive guy like Teymur is just not smart. I think Teymur has good enough leg kicks to do damage to his leg. I think Teymur's going to catch Joe with the left hook, overhand right combination, floor him, and finish him off. So I'm going with Teymur via first round knockout in this fight. And up next we have what could be a pretty fun fight with Damir Hadzovic against Christos Giagos. And Hadzovic, he's looking to build off his first career UFC win streak. He's finally won 2 in a row. He's won 3 out of 4 fights against pretty solid competition. So a win here would get him closer to his goal of the top 15. And Hadzovic, he's a good striker. He's light on his feet, good in and out movement, great forward pressure. He breaks opponents with pace. Very fast jab. He has a nice 1-2 combination. Nasty left hook. He'll throw front kicks to the body. He has a nice front and round kick to the body and the head. He has good front knees to the body. He uses it to control distance very well. He obviously got a knee knockout of Marcin Held. He has fast hand speed. He can tend to wait for his opponents at times, be low volume. He is a slow starter. He will react to what his opponents are doing at times. But he gets a big sense of urgency in round 3 usually and goes for the finish. And I think that he has a bit of a lack of aggression in certain fights because he's scared of being taken down. But he carries his power for all 3 rounds. Obviously, he hurt Nick Hein badly in round 3. Finished Marcin Held with a knee in round 3. And when he hurts fighters, he'll usually capitalize, get the finish. He has 7 knockouts. He has a good chin. He's only been finished by strikes 1 time. And that was against Mairbek Taisumov, who's a beast. Hadzovic is, not usually an active grappler, but he showed off nice grappling in his last match. Got a couple of double leg takedowns in round 1. In round 2, he quickly got a body lock, moved him out, finished Reyes with big ground and pound. He looked very heavy on top. He had thudding power. He can get over aggressive, off balance, and fighters can take him down himself. He did show improved takedowns against Alan Patrick, some decent get-ups, but his takedown defense is questionable. He will attack with arm bars, triangles off his back. He does have the capability to stay calm, defend, and he has the cardio to stay dangerous, eventually get back to his feet and go for the finish. He was able, to survive 2 rounds where he was on his back against a dangerous submission artist in Marcin Held. And, he has good takedown defense overall now. I feel like against Giagos, his takedown defense will probably hold up. He has 3 submissions, and Hadzovic is going to be the fighter with more explosive power, better cardio. I see him being the aggressor in this fight and the one going forward. I see Hadzovic trying to stalk Giagos, back him up, trying to work behind his jab, his feints, draw out the counters of Giagos and counter the counters. I think he could also look to take him down, get to dominant position, use that ground and pound that we saw in his last fight. I think that he's going to be breaking down Giagos with body shots, jabs, big headshots. This fight goes longer, and I think he's going to be the fresher fighter in the later rounds. Christos Giagos, he's coming off a decision win over Hirota. He was unsuccessful in his return to the UFC. He lost to Charles Oliveira, but he's paid his dues to be here. He was in the UFC, lost 2 or 3, got cut, took the hard way back. He went to ACB in Russia, took on the beast over there. And he's in the same situation again where he's 1-1 in the UFC. And when it was his 3rd fight and his last time he lost, he got cut. So I'm sure he has those memories and feels like a must-win for him here. And Giagos is a well-rounded fighter. He's actually a pretty solid boxer. Good lateral movement. He likes to pot shot opponents from the outside. He'll walk opponents into a straight and overhand rights. He has a nice 1-2. He'll throw 1-2s and left hooks to the body. He will throw a nasty left hook straight right hand combination. And he definitely has power. He could drop opponents when he walks them into a straight and overhand rights. He has a nice front kick to the body and the head. And he likes to close the distance with straight punch combinations into takedown attempts. He has a strong chin. He's only been finished 1 time. And he has 7 KO TKOs himself. He likes to mix it up. And he does a good job setting his takedowns up with punches. He likes to close the distance with an aggressive blitz. Then duck under into a double leg. He has decent body locks. Nice clinch knees. And he's pretty strong in the clinch. He landed a good single leg in his last match. And on top, he isn't that great. But he will control opponents, land short punches. He'll posture up, throw elbows. He'll look to get the back, lock in the rear naked choke. He was able to grind out Hirota in his last match. He got several double leg takedowns. And he can be taken down himself. And when he gets taken down, he tends to give his back. He has been submitted quite a few times. He is active and his get-up game is solid, but he has been submitted 4 times. He has 2 submission wins. He tends to slow down a little bit in the 3rd round. He really gassed himself out hard in his last match. I see Giagos in this match using lateral movement, boxing. I think he's going to try to pot shot Hadzovic from the outside, look for late round takedowns. And if he can use his counters to make Hadzovic gun shy, then use his feints to control the pace, he's going to have a decent chance to win. And this fight's going to come down to if Hadzovic can land enough damage to beat that pot shotting style of Giagos. Giagos is big, and he hits hard, so I'm not saying that to diminish him, but more to say he's fighting an outside striking style. I think that Hadzovic has a nice high guard. He's fast twitch enough to get inside, make Giagos throw in the pocket. And I think that in the pocket, Giagos can get sloppy because he wants to exit. And Hadzovic is going to capitalize there. I think that Hadzovic is going to look to get takedowns here as well. He looked at pretty nasty top game in his last match. If he can get to dominant position, I could see him finishing the fight. And I'm going to say Hadzovic wins via second round, ground and pound KO TKO in this fight. And I actually do have a bet on Damir Hadzovic. So I'm going with Damir Hadzovic via second round finish here. And up next here we have a pretty interesting style matchup with Makwan Amirkhani against Chris Fishgold. And Makwan Amirkhani is fighting after yet another long layoff. He's basically only fought once per year since 2016. He hasn't fought since May of 2018. So after joining the UFC with 2 big finishes, his last 2 matches, they've both been split decisions. He was able to scrape out a win against Jason Knight in his last fight. And he's going to be looking to run that UFC record to 4-1. So that is a good record if he can win. And he's not a very good striker, though. Very, very bad striker, actually, in my opinion. He's a southpaw. He uses a lot of lower movement, jabs, right hooks. And he's using those basically just to maintain distance, keep his opponent off of him. He will throw a jab, left straight combination. He'll throw front kicks to the body. But when he throws shots, he leaves his chin right up in the air. I definitely feel Fishgold can land a big shot over the top. He will use a lot of explosive actions on the feet, trying to close the distance, like jump knees, jump kicks, and flying knees. He has a flying knee knockout in less than 10 seconds in his UFC debut. His defense is porous. He holds his hands low. His chin is high. He backs up in straight lines. He'll also do a lot of reaching to try to get in the clinch or on a leg. And if opponents have good distance control, they can just slide away and make him pay for that. His takedown ability, though, makes opponents hesitant to get close enough to him where he could shoot, and that's how he survives. Amirkhani, he tries to goad opponents into a war so they get over-aggressive and he can duck under, get takedowns. He doesn't look like his punches pack much power, but he can finish with the flying knees. Amirkhani just has 1 TKO in his career. He was rocked and dropped multiple times in his last match, but he showed great recoverability, great scrambling ability. He's never been finished by strikes. And Amirkhani is an elite wrestler. He doesn't strike much at all, or shoot much, or doesn't strike much at all. He'll shoot takedowns very quickly in the rounds. He has an excellent single leg takedown, and even if the initial entry isn't great, he could stay connected, get it to the mat. He's very good at using the single leg to create a scramble, quickly take the back. Good double legs as well, but his doubles can be a bit more telegraphed. He does tend to leave his head on the outside on takedown attempts. He gives his opponents his neck. He has very good guillotine defense, though. He will usually get free and take top position. He's excellent in the scrambles. Usually he'll be able to defend the submission, get top position. And, he has some of the best scrambling ability in the UFC, in my opinion. On top, he's very heavy. He has good control. He has great elbows from half guard, but mainly side control. He's great at standing up in opponents' guards, landing punches, passing the legs into side control. He'll land body locks directly into side control, and he really likes that position. He'll look for front chokes, guillotines. He has a good rear naked choke. He's active off his back as well. He's better than Fishgold off his back. He has good guard. He'll attack with triangles, arm bars. Good at sweeping in top position. And I feel Makwan is the better wrestler and the scrambler. And if this turns into a wrestling match, I think Makwan's going to win. Both fighters tend to gas, but I feel Makwan knows how to pace himself a little better, explodes at the right times. Amirkhani is going to need to be very careful on the feet here. Fishgold is good at coming over the top of the jab with the hook or overhand. And if he can take Makwan, if he can land that on Makwan as he exits with his chin high, he could finish him, But Makwan is going to need to get this fight to the mat, work behind his lateral movement, his long-range attacks on the feet, and just duck under, get takedowns, and win that way. But Chris Fishgold, he's had a fast start to his UFC career. This is going to be his 3rd fight in 8 months. He's going to be looking to run his record to 2-1. He had that knockout loss in his debut to Calvin Kattar. But since then, he had a second round finish with Daniel Teymur. Fishgold is a grinder, but it's going to be interesting if he wants to try to keep this fight standing. And Fishgold has a good jab. He has a nice straight right hand. He throws heavy low kicks. He has a decent left hook as well. He's very quick when he explodes forward with combinations. Good right hook, left hook combo. He'll mix in uppercuts. Great job when he backs fighters near the fence. He'll swarm throw in combination, body, head. And it's hard for fighters to defend because they know that the constant threat of the takedown is there. He doesn't throw many kicks, but he will throw occasional leg kicks. He's a solid uppercut in the pocket, but he doesn't tend to pace himself on the feet. He tires himself out. He put on the pressure in the fight with Calvin Kattar, and really was beating him up for a while until he got tired and lost the fight. He'll start to wing setup shots that aren't very poorly set up shots, and he comes forward with his hands low. He does have pretty decent power. It looks like he has 2 KO TKOs. He has been TKO'd only that one time, but I think he has a pretty good chin. He's fought in a lot of 5-round fights, so he has the ability to push hard. And, I think that maybe the reason why he got so tired in the Qatar fight was because it was his UFC debut. But Fishgold likes to close the distance with overhands or straight punches, get a single collar tie in the clinch. He uses a double jab, straight right hand very well to get inside. And he's strong there. He bullies fighters to the cage or the ground. Good double legs, nice single legs. He has a lot of variety in his takedowns. He's relentless with them. He's dangerous with chokes. He'll clamp onto the neck from the clinch, jump for guillotines. Good Kimuras, good Americanas. He doesn't throw much ground and pound. He's much more interested in advancing position, getting the submission. And he can't be too aggressive, transitioning on top, get swept. I've seen him get swept by leg locks multiple times. He was reversed by Daniel Teymur in his last match. And off of his back, he isn't amazing. He'll kind of just wait for his chance to explode back to his feet. But he doesn't attack with many submissions. And fighters can get off with some decent ground and pound. And, he does have a very good rear naked choke. He's won fights 13 times via submission. He's only 3-1-1 via indecision, so he is a finisher. I feel Fishgold's going to try to keep this fight on the feet, though, a bit in this fight. Uses boxing to create takedown opportunities. I feel he definitely hits harder, and he can come over the top of the jabs of Amir Khani with hooks or overhands. And I feel if he can start going body, head, getting his overhands into play, he could have some big success. He needs to go forward, get Makwan on the back foot. If he can back him up with punch combinations, it should open up takedowns, opportunities to seal rounds. He needs to be able to defend the takedowns, and I feel he will try to use his guillotine to counter the single of Amir Khani. If this fight goes 3 rounds, he needs to be ready to fight at a high pace. I'm going to pick Chris Fishgold here. I feel that this is a close fight. If Makwan can implement his grappling game, I see him being able to control Fishgold on the mat. I'm not sure if Fishgold's going to control him, but I do think Fishgold's the bigger, stronger fighter. I think his cardio can hold up. And I just feel like standing, Makwan is very vulnerable. Fishgold isn't going to be scared to go forward, be aggressive, and throw. I think he's definitely going to win the first round, even drop Makwan possibly. Overall, I just see him winning the striking by landing body shots, countering over the top of Makwan's sloppy boxing. I think he could even knock him out if he lands well enough. I think Fishgold, he's just good enough wrestler, BJJ fighter, to defend some shots, make it hard for Makwan, and I think he could tire him out, keep it on the feet. And I'm going to say that Fishgold wins via decision because Makwan has shown very good recoverability, but I'm going to say Chris Fishgold gets it done here. And up next here, we have one of my favorite fight of the nights with Alexander Rakic against Jimmy Manuwa. And Rakic is getting a sizable step up in competition. He took care of business with Justin Ledet, Devin Clark. And this can be his first taste at top 10 competition. Rakic, he's very big. He's mobile. He's athletic. He uses a lot of feint, stance switching. He likes to be the aggressor, but he's light on his feet. He has great distance control. Very good footwork. He's great at circling away from opponent's power, circling his back off the cage. And he'll use his jab, his left hooks to angle back to the center. He has a nice jab, heavy leg kicks. He'll throw oblique kicks to the legs. And really solid lead left hook. He has a very nice straight right hand. He'll mix in overhand rights. He doesn't throw much in combination. He uses a lot of one-shot attacks. He's very good at freezing opponents with feints, landing a shot, getting out. Very nice rear uppercut. He dropped Devin Clark with a back fist in his last match. Finished him with ground and pound. He's super fast and explosive, and he's going to be a problem as he improves. But this is a big step up. Rakic does hold his hands low. He stands a little bit tall. He's hittable. He relies a lot on movement, sliding out of the way of shots. And, he can leave his chin in the air when he exits. He was dropped in his last match against Devin Clark. He was trying to circle off the cage. He is a cardio machine, though. He recovers extremely quickly. I feel he has a good chin, but you don't want to get hit clean versus Jimmy Manuwa like he was versus Devin Clark. Rakic hits hard himself. He has 8 career knockouts. He's never been finished by strikes, and he's extremely athletic. His grappling is improving rapidly. In his UFC debut against Francimar Barroso, he was taken down multiple times and had questionable takedown defense. Now he's had very nice takedown defense shown in his last couple fights. He uses that to take top distance himself. He'll quickly dig underhooks, take his opponents down. Against Justin Ledet, he got him to the mat by sweeping the leg with leg kicks. And he had a solid takedown game as well. He has good body lock takedowns, okay double legs. Very good at continuing to fight in the transitionary periods in between striking and grappling. He'll be denied on a takedown attempt, but use that to create an opening for a punch or a kick. In the fight with Ledet, he was able to get in on a double leg. He was denied and immediately landed a straight right hand that dropped Ledet. And he showed a strong top game. He was able to easily control position, posture up, landed nice hammer fists and elbows. He was also able to move to half guard, land heavy shots. He doesn't look to move to mount or side control much. He prefers to just keep top position, land ground and pound in position where he feels very strong. And if he gets top position on Manuwa, I don't see Manuwa being able to stand up. And I feel Rakic will wear him down, do damage. Rakic only has 1 submission. He was submitted in his 1 pro loss. He has won 11 consecutive fights. He has a ton of confidence. He feels he can beat any light heavyweight in the world. And he's ready to test himself versus a name like Manuwa. He is intelligent. He comes in with a game plan, in shape. And he needs to use his superior athleticism in this fight. He has to be the one controlling the pace of the fight with his feints, his jabs, his leg kicks. If he can get Manuwa to start reacting to him and then create opportunities off of those reactions, that's where he's going to get a knockout. He needs to be constantly throwing rhythm breakers such as jabs, front kicks to the legs, while maintaining distance, circling off the cage. And he should look to mix in takedowns, make Manuwa work as well in the clinch. Rakic's gas tank is elite and better than Manuwa's, and the further this fight goes, the better for him. Rakic needs to be careful early, respect the power of Manuwa, but as the fight goes on, he should be able to start implementing his game, taking over more. And for Jimmy Manuwa, he's in dire need of a victory here. He asked to be placed on this card because he wants to fight in Sweden. He obviously trains at All-Stars Training Center. He's lost 3 consecutive fights. He's been finishing 2 of those 3. He's coming off that all-out war against Thiago Santos, in which he was knocked out. Manuwa is a knockout artist with power in both hands. He likes to control the center of the cage, walk opponents down, throw bombs. Very nice jab, good straight right hand. And his left hook is nasty, man. He ended Corey Anderson and Ovin St. Prue's night with just 1 left hook. He's very good at leaping into the left hook to maximize his reach, and he already has long arms. He will dig the left hook to the body. He likes to throw a double jab into a step-in knee to the body. He will throw heavy low kicks. He has a decent high kick. He'll occasionally throw a round kick to the body, and he'll throw front leg hook kicks to the body and the head. He doesn't use a lot of movement. He believes in his power. He's ready to have a firefight, and he doesn't have that same movement as Rakic. He's much more flat-footed. He just inches his way in a range, plants his feet, throws bombs, and fighters can't hit him with jabs, leg kicks as he gets inside. Jan Blachowicz had a lot of success throwing combinations off his jab and his uppercut. And Manuwa will slow down after round 1. And while he's still extremely dangerous, he isn't as fast or powerful. His power still allows him to control the center of the cage over 3 rounds. But his chin is not what it once was. He's been knocked out badly in 2 of his last 3 fights. He was dropped against Jan Blachowicz. He is 39 years of age, and he's taken a ton of damage. He's a warrior, though. He's going to continue to come forward even after he's been hurt or dropped. And the only guys that have knocked him out have been, like, guys that are some of the best, knockout artists of all time. Guys like Anthony Rumble Johnson, guys like Thiago Santos. So, he definitely, guys like Volkan Ozdemir. So, he's been knocked out by these guys that, hit extremely hard. But obviously, that takes damage. Obviously, he has spooky power himself. He can land a shot that doesn't even look like it landed perfect and put opponents' lights out. Obviously, his one-punch knockouts of Corey Anderson and OSP are pretty vicious. 15 knockouts for Manuwa and 17 victories. 11 have come in the first round, and all 15 have came in round 1 or 2. He's only been in 2 decisions in his entire career. He's only 1-1. And Manuwa isn't a grappler. He definitely prefers to stand and bang. He's strong in the clinch. He likes to slow the fight. He'll get underhook, drive opponents to the cage. He has nasty knees to the legs, the body, and the head. He isn't an offensive wrestler. He will be trying to use his wrestling in reverse in this spot to keep it standing. His takedown defense, though, is average. When he can see the entry coming in, he's good at digging underhooks. He has fast hips. But when fighters can set the takedowns up or, get in on his legs, his takedown defense is bad. He can be taken down easier in the later rounds as well. And he does have a decent get-up game, but he uses the cage to stand up pretty well. And if he's not against the cage, he doesn't really stand up. Manuwa only has one clear submission on the regional scene. And other than a guillotine, I haven't seen him attempt another submission. His submission defense really hasn't been tested much. And, he's only been submitted once. Manuwa's going to have to control the center of the cage in this fight. He's going to be the one looking to walk Rakic down, make the cage small, explode in with a leaping left hook or a right hand. And we saw Devin Clark catch Rakic with a left hook as he was trying to circle off the cage. Manuwa's excellent at that. So Manuwa needs to keep this fight at his pace, use his power shots, and he can't let Rakic get ahead with volume and movement. Rakic does, if he can start slow and Manuwa can come in quickly, he could catch him cold, put him out early. But this is a good but dangerous matchup for Rakic. It's a great test to see where he's at. To me, he's the much faster fighter. He has better footwork. If he can use his jab, his leg kicks to stop the forward pressure of Manuwa on angle, I see him frustrating Manuwa, not getting hit much. I think that once he gets Manuwa frustrated, he's going to begin, Manuwa's going to begin to open up with big hooks and overhands that will become predictable, and then Rakic can start finding entries for his harder shots, for his takedowns. And I think Manuwa will fade as the fight goes on. If Rakic is going to lose this fight, I think it's going to be a knockout in round 1. And I think Rakic is very intelligent. He knows what he has to look out for. He obviously has to be careful with the power, exiting with his hands down. But I think he's extremely hungry. He wants to fight the top names. And I'm going to say he dominates Manuwa and gets a decision victory or a late finish in this fight. So I'm going with Alexander Rakic to get it done here. I'm next here with Ilir Latifi against Volkan. We got two guys that kind of need to bounce back here. Volkan definitely has his back against the wall. He's lost 3 consecutive fights. He's desperate for a win. His last match with Damir was a little controversial. Most fans thought he deserved a win. And he's changed up his fight camp for this fight again. He's training at Frontline Academy in Norway. That's the same camp as Jack Hermanson. So it's probably a pretty good camp. And for Ilir Latifi, he's going to be getting a home game here. He's going to need to atone for those last 2 times he fought in Sweden in the UFC. He was knocked out by Jan Blachowicz, and he lost a decision to Gegard Mousasi in his 2 Sweden appearances in the UFC. But, he was close to getting a title shot before he was derailed in his last match versus Corey Anderson. And he's going to need to bounce back here to prove he's still a top threat to the top of the division. But to me, this is an interesting close fight. Latifi is going to be trying to get this fight to the mat, in my opinion. I think this is kind of a hard matchup for Volkan. Volkan likes to pressure forward heavily. He's always looking for left hook, straight right hands, and he has heavy leg kicks. He will close the distance with big hook combinations, and you obviously don't want to trade with him in close range. He has freakish power. He'll use a double jab to create openings for hooks, for uppercuts, and he's going to need to be more composed in this match. Use his leg kicks, his jabs, combinations, but be in and out, control range, and not give Ilir those opportunities to get in on his legs. I see Ilir shooting a lot of singles and doubles, and even if he doesn't get them, he's great at landing left hands off the exit. We saw that against Corey Anderson. I believe that he's going to be able to get in on the legs of Volkan, and even if he can't take him down, he's going to land off the break and make Volkan more hesitant to pressure heavily. And I think Ilir has dangerous overhand hooks and leg kicks of his own, and Volkan tends to get hit with a lot of overhands. Gets DC, he was getting tagged with those overhands of DC. I think Latifi can get top position, or if he can get top position, he's going to have a massive advantage in this fight. Both fighters gas, but to me it's going to come down to if Ilir can get rest from the takedowns or if Volkan gets stuff, keep him moving backwards. But I just feel like Ilir is going to be able to get enough takedowns, land some overhands to get Volkan to go second. And I think at top position he can do damage and hold position. So I'm going to say Ilir Latifi wins a close, contested, fun fight via decision there. But, that's a very close fight that could go either way. Obviously, anytime guys have power like that, anyone can win. So I'm going to go with Ilir Latifi via decision. And up next with the main event here, Alexander Gustafsson against Anthony Smith. And in this fight, to be honest, I actually feel like skills-wise, Alexander Gustafsson, his boxing is much better. His footwork is much better. He has very nice kicks. I don't know if you could say his kicks aren't necessarily better than Lionheart's. I mean, who knows with that, but he has nice kicks, and he has a great chin. I mean, we've seen him eat a ton of head kicks against John Jones. He ate some bombs against DC. I mean, we have seen him knocked out, obviously, against Anthony Rumble Johnson, but I think he definitely has a good chin. He is definitely less weather than Anthony Smith, but Anthony Smith has a hell of a chin, too. He's hard to finish. And, both these guys are coming off that loss to John Jones, but obviously Gustafsson's lost to John Jones twice now. He also lost to DC for the title. And it's going to be hard to stay motivated. Obviously he's fighting in Sweden here, so I think he's going to have some sort of motivation to win at home. But it's got to be hard to stay motivated knowing that maybe you could never be the best fighter in your division. Whereas he got finished, he got shut out, dominated by John Jones in the second fight. Anthony Smith, even though he didn't really do much, he was able to go to decision. And I feel like Anthony Smith still has that belief that he could be the best ever. Or not the best ever, but be the best in the division, win the title. And I don't know if Alexander Gustafsson still has that. So with the mindset, that's all I'm really worried about here. But to be honest with you, I mean, Gustafsson's movement, his leg kicks, are going to give Anthony Smith a lot of issues I really do believe they're going to give him a lot of issues in the fight if he comes in shape, because we saw Hector Lombard, land a lot of low kicks and use a lot of movement, and Lombard wasn't even known for that. Gustafsson, he has great boxing. He can make opponents pay for being aggressive with those uppercuts, with those straight punches. He has great angling ability, and I think he's going to be the one trying to stay on the outside, use that movement, use those leg kicks, use those straight punches, those uppercuts, stay on the outside and finesse Anthony Smith. Maybe look for a few takedowns as well. But I think Anthony Smith in this fight has to, eat punishment to get inside and, use that inside game of his with his elbows, with his short-range power. Because I feel like he has had a lot of success at light heavyweight because he's been the faster guy. Like against Shogun, faster guy. I feel like he was the faster guy against Volkan. Against Alexander Gustafsson here, I think Gustafsson is going to be the faster fighter here. So I think it's going to be hard for Anthony Smith to close those distance with those big explosive actions. But, if he could somehow get his way inside where he could start to accumulate some damage on Alex, get him a little bit slower, maybe bring him into the later rounds. And, that's where I think that if he can get inside and force Alex kind of into a firefight, maybe even get into top position, that's how he's going to have to win the fight. He's going to have to be the tougher guy here. He's going to have to make it ugly. He's going to have to make it gritty and just make it untechnical and, win a firefight, brawl, or somehow get in top position, find a submission. But I think Alexander Gustafsson is just the better fighter everywhere. He has better wrestling, better striking, better cardio. He's beaten better guys. He's fought higher level competition. Man. So I just don't see any reason why Gustafsson would lose this fight. And I think that he's going to get it done here. So I'm going to go with Gustafsson to win via third or fourth round KO, TKO, or submission. Could also be a decision here. But I definitely think that Gustafsson should get it done if he comes in here motivated, in shape, ready to go. And, so that's the breakdown for UFC Sweden. For the most confident pick of the night here for this card. It was pretty hard to find a most confident pick, but my most confident pick is going to be Damir Hadzovic. And for my parlay of the week, I'm going to do Damir Hadzovic and Alexander Rakic as the parlay of the week. So make sure to comment, like, subscribe, like I said at the beginning of the video. Tell me who you're betting on, what you think, and hopefully we can continue the streak going with the cashing on another bet this week. I'll be back on Friday for the post-weigh-in breakdown, so be on the lookout for that. And thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting, guys, and I'll see you guys next week.